We should do this on that, like, that couch area.
Upstairs?
Hi.
Hi. You got Ryan here. Say something to the camera, Ryan? No, not say anything? Okay, that's good. Thank you. Very helpful. Sarah? You're blurry. There you go. Hi, Sarah.
What's up, guys?
How am I allowed to tell inappropriate stories?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. It's not that inappropriate. It's just about the time that Adrienne lost her fishnets at Strange Matters.
Oh, there you go.
Cool.
Okay, wait. Is everybody good?
Yeah, I'm in the room.
Okay. So one thing, just have you state your name, how long you lived here, and then you can just get into it.
Wait, do you want me to look at the camera?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to do
the
anything.
camera's just for documentation because we have to show that we actually did
Okay,
it.
cool. So my name is Stephanie Mack, and I've lived here since I think 2011. And a place that was kind of significant to me back when I came here, I joined VCU's MFA program, and kind of that's how I came to Richmond. And I remember going to Strange Matter a lot as well. And specifically one time, I used to go all the time with my friend Adrienne, our friend Adrienne. And I think there was one night where like she lost her fishnets or something like that at a punk show. Like somebody tore the crotch out, and then like she was just like, "Where are my fishnets?" So it was very much that vibe. And then later in grad school and after I graduated, I ended up marrying a guy who was in a punk band, and he used to play at Strange Matter a lot. That ended up being a waste of time because I'm divorced.
Adrienne met her husband at Strange Matter.
That's right. That's what the fishnets were.
Yeah.
It was. That's why the fishnet story was significant, because the night that Adrienne lost her fishnets was the night that she found her husband.
Right.
So
And they live in Montana now.
yeah.
So
And she's got a kid. So
you
Strange
never
Matter
know.
does beautiful things.
Okay, my freshman year of college, I didn't have a car here, so me and my roommate had to learn like the GRTC system and the public transit system, and we had an art history class together where we had to go to the VMFA for a project. So we took the bus there and decided to take the last bus back to campus. We got halfway there, and the bus driver looked at us and was like, "I don't go any farther than this." And we were like, "Oh, okay." So we got off the bus and like followed a couple VCU students into one of their dorms, like into the common area. An Uber back to campus was like $50, and we didn't want to pay $50, so we took an Uber to Carytown, and then caught one of the University of Richmond's like campus shuttles all the way back to campus, and it was like a very, I don't know, it sounds weird saying it now, but it was like a very fun afternoon and a little bit stressful also because we were new to the city and we didn't really.
Who's kind of scared me? Are you at the right door? They were at the wrong door.
Somebody go.
And I don't know if you know how networks work, but so if you turn into, you can probably stream everything, which everyone does now, but if you turn on your TV and went to channel 12 or whatever for NBC, NBC, has a studio where they do like local news and stuff like that, but they pull in shows from the network and things like that. We do the same thing. NPR pulls in All Things Considered, and or our music shows that are like alt Latino and things like that are all produced somewhere else, and we buy them basically.
Yeah.
So that's what that's about.
And I just love the birth date. I worked there for a little bit. It's almost 100 years old. I think it's almost 100 years old. It's like 95 years old or something like that. It's really cool. You can go. There's like an underground lagoon you can go to into the bird theater that's terrifying. Yeah, there's actual ghosts there. Like, I don't believe in ghosts, but there was something happening there.
I used to go to this video store called Video 2000, and it was VHS at the time, and I'm gonna really date myself here. You know, there was no streaming of film, stuff like that, so we watched VHS, and eventually DVD came out. And I remember being like a small child there and walking in those rows, and there was like a horror section, and it had Pinhead. You know, you're probably familiar with the image of him holding the cube. And I saw that Pinhead, and it scared me. Like, as a child, I thought, oh, wow, I shouldn't go over to that section of horror. I'll stick to my animation, comedy, you know. And it kind of felt like a rite of passage for me to like walk over to that section. And like now I'm like brave enough to walk in the horror section.
We lived in the museum district where we could walk to Carytown, and there was a great bookstore that's now Sugar and Twine. This bookstore was great because they did a 24-hour readathon, and they had people come and read selections of banned books. And I went and read at 11 at night or 10 at night or something like that. And I read from, I think, a Kurt Vonnegut book from probably Slaughterhouse-Five or another book. And not the whole thing, but you got to read for like half an hour more, and people came and just listened to you read just to support banned books and things like that. So it was a really cool kind of thing for them to do.
You can't expect a man or person to be them best selves if they're hungry. My name is Lil Lamberta. I was born in Richmond in 1981. I connected with Gallery 5 to do spaghetti dinners. So I miss doing spaghetti dinners. It's like a movement that was started in the 80s. The concept is like, you can't just give people theater, like you have to feed them too. And by feeding them is how you make change. So when the Halloween parade was smaller, we would sometimes do a circus in Monroe Park. So we had just done a circus, and then we were doing a spaghetti dinner inside Gallery 5. And we were rehearsing and baking bread and making spaghetti. Next thing you know, the fire marshal showed up, and the fire marshal blowing out this 90 brick little brick oven with bread in it with the huge hose. And Gallery 5 used to be a fire department, so it's really funny seeing all the fire people outside the ancient historical fire department that's Gallery 5. And they said that you have to have a fire 50 feet away from a building. Richmond has always because this is early days, 2009, Richmond has always been one of those snakes eating its own tail. I think it's only been held back artistically by the city itself.
Do you need me to introduce myself at all so you remember which to? Okay, good. Because I only do that when I'm recording. I know who you are, but go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm Ian Stewart, host of the World Music Show, heard on 93.1 or 107.3 FM or streaming at vpm.org/worldmusic. And I'm also a reporter for VPM News. So there you go. Tune in to get all your local news. I've been in Richmond or the Richmond region for 18 years. Came in 2004.
So what originally drew you to this area?
Cost of living. I hadn't heard of I knew Richmond somewhat, but we were I didn't know Richmond. Other than I guess it's the capital of Virginia. It was a small enough city, really easy to navigate, and they were kind of trying to reform themselves in a way, up and coming, where they had some art going on. The downtown was kind of cool, and then we looked at the home prices. We're oh, hey, we could actually buy a house. We're like, let's, get a job. And she got a job, and I was going to find a job when I got here. And we moved across country with 4 animals in a car, 2 dogs and 2 cats in a car, and drove across country and moved here and had a hurricane right away, and then had our first big snowstorm right away and tried to get used to Richmond. It was separated. When we came here, we noticed a huge kind of divide between races in a way and classes in a way. And there was this also a division of old Richmond money and North versus South and things like that. But here it was like, oh, Yankees. And then we saw our first Confederate flags driving around Chesterfield and other places. And that was a shock because in my mind, the Civil War ended a long time ago, and we didn't think that was a thing. And apparently it was still kind of a thing.
One of the first moments for me was like trying this restaurant right close by called Mama J's. I was like, wow, this food is amazing, and this is now my favorite place. So like, I think just having a favorite food spot really just made me feel connected to the place before.
I guess happiest memories I've had was attending the parade during Halloween, where you would see a lot of people with different costumes, and you'd always get surprised by what people choose to wear, so that's always neat. Me and my girlfriend has been attending that many times. Of course, I won't get into further details, keep it PG, but it was always a fun time. Everybody's always having a good time. The parade goes on, it's in the Oregon Hill neighborhood, and it would go on for a minute, and at the end, the band that was leading the parade, which is usually No BS Brass Band, they usually end up at a park where everybody just gathers up and just like kind of dances to the music, and everybody's just having a really good time, just dancing around, complimenting each other's costumes, and there's a lot of, torch sculptures that they also have, which are really cool, very crafty. You really get to see a very artistic part of Richmond during that parade. So yeah, that's a really good, happy memory.
Did you get to carry one of the puppets?
No, I never.
My name is Nat. I've been a Richmond resident for the last 10 years. I'm trying to think of one, and I've got memories of places that like still exist, but in slightly different form. Yeah. So when the Teapot Bridge was being built in 2016, I was on an adventure with my boo, and I was like, we should go wander across this bridge, even though it's not fully built. So we walked over the part that was sort of built, and then over the the structures that weren't built. And it was really the mantra I was living by at the time was do one thing every day that scares you. So I was trying to be like, come on, I know you're afraid of heights, but let's go walk over this bridge. So walked over, everyone over on Browns Island was like, wait, that bridge isn't even built yet. It was just a fun little adventure. And Teapot Bridge is not shaped it's not called that because it's shaped like a teapot, even though raft guides might tell you that. It's the Tyler Potterfield Memorial Bridge, and it was built to connect the Manchester area with Browns Island. And it's one of the, the architect's design was for this really pretty aluminum modern bridge, that the actual structure, which isn't the most sound, that's needed a lot of maintenance in the last 5 years. That's what the Teapot Bridge is.
My name is Karina Figueroa. I've been in Richmond since about 2011, and I think my first time being at Belle Isle, someone invited me to go there, and I think it was like the first week of freshman, but they took me into Belle Isle for the very first time, into that rocky area where you got to climb down the ladder, and there was I'm telling you 50 people all over that thing, and there was people out there grilling, there was boom boxes, there was people doing a fire and doing s'mores and hot dogs, and then all of a sudden it started raining. So we're all just running, trying to get out. It was already too late, we were all getting wet, but we just wanted to leave, and then we had taken a before and after pic of like before the rain, and then after the rain we were soaked. My shoes like were off. I was running barefoot around Belle Isle. Like that's one of my happiest memories, is like being in nature amongst just random Richmond folk, strangers talking to strangers and just being friendly and just partying in the river, in the woods.
So I just finished painting a mural in Scott's Edition about the sort of in-between ephemeral community of DIY, nonprofits, artists, workshops, studios that have occupied a lot of spaces in there for the last like 10, 15, maybe 20 years as part of the sort of in-between the fall of the industrialization of that area and the rise of the luxury apartments and breweries. So the mural is sort of a celebration of just like people in the creative process, but also a reminder that like something really important for things to grow and things to take root is to have space that allows for experimentation and failure, and that is essentially part of the creative process.
Since we've been here, Richmond has become, I think, more vibrant, more inclusive of all sorts of wonderful people from all over that are here. And it's just, I think they're adding a whole vitality to the area and to the region. That is just great to see. And the city has come a long way in terms of what it was when we, first moved here.
Silly genius, visual artist. Moved to Richmond in like 2004.
My name is Mecca. I'm a mental health professional, and I've been in Richmond since 1995.
There used to be this spot called Rendezvous. Wiz Khalifa and Currency came here when they dropped the Half Flower album.
Wait a minute, listen, I saw Run DMC there, I saw Common there, all in one night, and it was free this particular night. Yeah.
It's a barbershop now. So that just goes, and then just spaces that just don't exist anymore. Like Strange Matter is gone. Empire is gone. It's a sidewalk now. Like the web, like the spider web of creative energy in the city has like lost a big chunk in the last 20 years.
But, it's some new energy, and things like this didn't exist back then, so this is good.